We will bring up some scenarios, diet, market photography, where to find counter strategies. Heiner Jendrich, please.
Diet market photography is the title. It sounds a bit like a forecast, and I don't want to be this understood as a forecast. My stress is on the second sentence, where to find the counter strategies. We have heard yesterday and today quite many arguments about, or many presentations talking about what to do, and the starting point was always, we are somehow in a difficult situation, so what to do now? My presentation will care about the first part. We are in a situation, and we have to care for the situation, and then we can talk about what to do. Forecast-based marketing, I'm not a fan from. Forecast-based marketing would, in this case, mean that this would be a very pretty short presentation, because forecast-based marketing means market is shrinking, and there is a monster eating up our market, and this monster is this one. Okay, we cannot do anything against it, so forecast-based marketing means presentation is over. I love the other way around. I have created a little nickname for it because it makes clear the way we are thinking. I call it GPS marketing. Your GPS only works in one way. You have to, in the very beginning, you have to start saying where you are. If you don't know where you are, your GPS leads you to nothing. So, beautiful plans, beautiful future. If you don't know where you are, and you must be crisp and honest. If you say I'm in Munich, but in reality you are in Nuremberg, your GPS will mislead you. So, GPS, get your present position. Very simple, make your analysis, that's the homework. Plan your target, your vision, and finally start creating the future. A bit, what you just mentioned. Two comments before I'm starting. The first two steps I will now make with you, and if you somehow feel there is a bit of truth in there, then it's your turn to make the third step. This is your turn, not mine. Photo market, some comments. I'm talking about photo market, but we have heard a lot about camera market. The question is this the same or is this different? Quite many figures we have seen are from the camera markets, and I will use those too. Basically because if you look to my statistics, there is a one-to-one relation between good camera sales and good aftermarket sales. Whether it's prints, whether it's accessories, whether it's any kind of services. If the camera sales as well, the after service as well too. So let's talk about the photo market, but look to the figures of the camera market. Two questions, and one quote and two questions. How much do you think is the average share mobile phone pictures are contributing to, I may say so, to the revenues of Civicolor. Civicolor is one of the biggest lab in Europe, so they should know it. What do you think?
80%.
80%. I love you saying so. No nonsense. No. It's actually, they get a lot of pictures, but they actually make less than 4% of the revenue coming from pictures from mobile phones. Now, second question, how many pictures do you think in the biggest community, in the biggest site caring for pictures, which is Flickr, how much percent do you think are pictures from mobile phones? Just one information. The iPhone just recently has overtaken every other camera, so the iPhone is now the top leading camera. So, make a guess. Any guess? Huh? 40%. Okay. The truth is, it's 7.8%. So, what I want to care for, what I want to give you a warning for, please, there is a lot of rumors around. And these rumors are guessings. And usually you hear these things with examples. Oh, I have a daughter which does. But that's not fact. This is your personal expectation, We have heard yesterday, there is a customer coming into my shop and I could serve him with my mobile phone. Fantastic. The figure I'm missing behind is, okay, how much percent of the turnover are you doing with this? Otherwise, this becomes big, this monster. So, we are doing the first step, the present situation. One thing, and this one is really good, I like this one very, very much. I have a new hobby. Whenever I'm somewhere off-road, my wife somehow really feels somehow strange on that one, because this is really a hobby, I like that. I'm taking photos of people taking photos. And when you do this, this is beautiful. When you see this on the PC, how different the people are. And you cannot put them into clusters. All the young people do smartphones, or all the elder ones do SLRs. No, it's really mixed. And one of the things I just detected when I was in Istanbul the other day, the two girls here on the left, Japanese. There is a new trend in Japan, and we heard this from figures a bit. There is a new trend in Japan that this lady, she's carrying now 2 SLRs. The top one, and I used my zoom on to find it out. The top one is a normal digital, and on the left is a film camera, a Nikon F whatever. I don't know exactly what. That's a new trend in Japan. They go back. They do both. In the 30 minutes, the other good news. In the 30 minutes, I'm doing this presentation. In Flickr, the people will upload 45,000 images. Only 7.8% by mobiles. The rest, which means nearly 92%, is coming from cameras. So that's the good news. Those have been the good news. So now let's be very, very, very honest. Everyone who knows me is, I can't do different than this. So very honest, the other side of the medal is this one. The last 18 months, we have seen bankruptcies of major photo chains across the world. The other side of the medal is, in the last 9 months, we have seen profit warnings of virtually every camera manufacturer, and always argued with problems in the imaging market. We have seen announcements from other manufacturers saying that they are stepping out of this or the other part of the business. And this chart, you know already, this is in a certain different way what my Knoche also showed. This is the CPAT chart since 1993. I'm very proud of that one. It was a lot of work to put all this data in. Since 1993 up to today. And the thing which is really depressing is what you see here. If the growth rate of CPAT in the first 9 months will continue in the last quarter of this year, we will end up in this statistic with 60 million camera, which is half of what we had 4 years ago. Half of what we had 4 years ago. And if you now sit back and say, yeah, cool, it's only compact cameras, they're not coming to my shop, not reading my magazine, not caring about this one, then have a look to these figures which I got from Mario. And look to what happened over the time. This is like a little video now. 2010, this shows the growth rates, 2010 versus 2009, in all major categories. I've dropped some because it's more impressive to just show the totals here. Yeah, this was the growth rate 2010. This one's the growth rate 2011. This one is the growth rate 2012. And year to date, up to September, this is the growth rate globally, GfK figures, without America. I was asked to say this is without America. America, as far as I understand, is even worse. Year to date, and for those of you who are not awake, I show you just the month of September, the last month which is reported. So what you see on this movie is this little tiny stuff which we always saw in the beginning of the presentations, we have a problem. It's accelerating. Guys, this is nothing which is going to stop, and if we just don't look at it. This is real. Whether or not this continues, I'm not the guy to make a forecast. I hate forecasts. But what I can see is the past, and this is real things. There is something eating up our market. So, second point then, that's it. That's the first part. This is the position. So now the question is, okay, where to go? Defining the target, the future. Define the target and then make it happen. Future comes from activities, not from beliefs how it will develop. So defining the target, the first, I have 4 targets for you. The first is, let's talk about the beast. In all the presentations we saw in the beginning, we have a problem, and therefore let's care for supply chain, let's increase the brand, let's do this and this and this. But first, I think we have to care talking together openly about the beast. If we don't do that, we cannot change. If we deny this, we cannot change. And yes, we are allowed to talk about the beast together. This is nothing against any legal regulation. We are officially allowed to care for our market. The second point is to readjust our strategic analysis. What I mean by this, so far, the situation for all of us, or at least it's my impression, looks rather simple. And I also saw this on the presentations. This is a kind of situation. This is the situation saying, hey, our boyfriend, the customer is now moving to this beast in the background. Oh shit. She is the one, she's guilty. But my grandmother told me a very, very wise sentence. Life is not that simple. Usually, the problem is, and that's my grandmother again, she said, if that happens, it's not the beast in the background. There's something wrong with our relation. There was something wrong with our relations. If our relation would have been good, the beast in the background would have had no chance. So we have to care for our relation. We have to look at that one, rather than looking to the beast. Mobile phones make them responsible for our business. Sorry guys. We are losing the chance to look at ourselves. Again, following Anna's presentation. So, what was our relation with the customer? Our relation, and this is what Marian intended, I really looked for a photo where I got you exactly these charts. Marian usually shows these charts to explain how a certain feature flies into market share. So starting with little and becoming rather big. So the more is better. That's what we learned. More resolution, more optical zoom, the more, the better we are selling. I don't want to make a research how many of you are believing this. The problem is, if you now look to the beast in the background, hey, this girl doesn't have better resolutions, they don't have zooms, they don't have anything. So how can a product which is, on the camera side, less attractive suddenly break the rules, while in our market still the rules are valid? If you find a way to explain that one, really make sure why is the market rule suddenly not valid anymore? Something is wrong. So we cannot explain it like this. It's too simple. Also the argument, camera resolution is now good enough to, I just heard it today in the presentation, now good enough to work with it. Yeah, but there is a little another factor. I don't know whether you have realized this morning in the presentations from GfK. This one is the technology curve of when certain sensor sizes were available for mobile phones. And you see, pretty early they were available. And the next figures I took from a presentation from Marion 9 months ago, which is the average pixel count globally. If you put the sold units, is still in average below 3 megapixel. And 80% of all cameras sold in up to 2012, this was the figures we had, are still below 4. So what does this mean? This means simply, very, very simple, the smartphone market is not driven by this type of stuff. The mobile phone market is not driven from the features. We heard it this morning from the colleagues from GfK as well. They just said exactly the same. So they have a different way to select mobile phones. And one of the things, an exercise when you're going home, please don't do it now because I have still something to say. If you're going home, open the browser and try to find a website like we have dozens in our industry. Try to find a website where you enter, I want to have a smartphone with so and so many megapixels and a 2x zoom, and you will not find one. At least I was not able to find. Maybe I'm too stupid. This was the best I found. This is a website where you can simply say, hey, compare two smartphones, and here you have the photos. That's all. This specification banana, which we are doing in our industry, that's not happening, at least not for the camera part. Maybe for other parts, but not for the camera part. Also this one we heard this morning. So my question is, if technology advantage of phones is not the reason for our shrinking market, why we then believe we always have to add more features to the product? Why do we always need to, why we argue this is a tool which doesn't work? Simply the market doesn't do it. And I read the editorial of, I think it was International Photo Contact, Thomas Prömer asked the question, do we still need more? Do we still need better images? Do we still need more technology? And the question is, to whom will we fight? There is one chart, I should have used the GfK figures, unfortunately. I haven't had them, that's the Gardner Group. And combined with CIPA. Smartphones have been existing already since long. So it's not new, it's not a new business, but smartphones started to really start up like hell in the year 2007 when with Apple's entry. So what is the difference to the previous smartphones? The answer is rather simple. Steve Jobs didn't look for best technology. He looked for user friendliness. He looked for something which is attracting the consumer. And what he did, he changed something which is much, much bigger than we all think and believe and we are aware. Apple's influence is that he has introduced fun to electronic products, using electronic products. It was not a feature anymore, it was fun to use it. And this kind of conclusion is not only hurting us, it started hurting the mobile phone industry because they really simply realize that if you're not as easy to be able to operate your phones, then you have no chance in the market anymore. So what they did is rather quickly adopt similar systems, making mobile phones attractive. Try to find one of the old style Blackberries. Impossible. The other thing is, now the consumer knows. You remember the curve which I showed with mobile phones. Now the consumer knows it's easy. And the problem is that this one now is hurting all manufacturers of consumer electronics. And believe me, one of our clients, which we're working for, is in the TV business. Those guys are suffering exactly from the same stuff like we. Just go to the social networks and try to figure out what the people are talking about TV sets. Not possible to operate. That's one of the reasons why this 4K systems and so on are so slowly coming, because the people cannot use them at the moment. So, if all other explanations don't work, Sherlock Holmes said, finally, the one which explains the situation is the remaining. Is the one which is true. If this is the case, we have to redefine the beast. The monster are not the phones, but our relation to consumers. What we are offering to consumers is not enough. And I'd like to share this with one thing, the product philosophy. The product philosophy in our industry is a bit described like this one. This is the imaging ecosystem in the year 2005. If I wouldn't have said so, most probably would believe this is still the one today, because it doesn't look very much different. 2005, someone unfortunately showed this in a presentation. I liked that very much. I took it, but I forgot to remember who it was. In the same year, the consumers told us already, guys, please make your cameras, this is the top priority wish on the wish list, make them more easy, more simple, make it more fun to use. This one is a menu which I took 3 years ago. This is I took for a presentation and I just looked at it. So from 2005 to 2009, no change. Friday, I made another exercise. I went to a website and I took from all tests they just recently did, I just took the last 9 tests, and I took the first screenshot appearing in the test. And this is how it looks like. And I don't know, maybe you want to have a look on your mobile phone in your pocket whether it looks similar to this. Most probably not. If your mobile phone would look like this, I'm pretty sure only half of you would use a mobile phone. Yeah, but it's not only the cameras. This one is a typical picture, and I heard yesterday the messages, and I will go to Kiel and I will take a photo of the show window in Schwedish Grund. But when I'm going around, the second thing I'm always doing is taking photos of Photoshops. Another hobby. I mean, it's not as exciting as the first one, but you have these kind of pictures. What does this show window say to someone who is passing by? It says, hey, if you like a second-class lens or a second-class body, and you want to have a big talk about specifications and bits and bytes, hey, come in. It does not say, guys, photography is so much fun. You can explore so many things. It's so emotional. Does this show window say this? No. And sorry, Mr. Gleich, we had the discussion yesterday. I'm going around in a lot of countries, and I did this exercise 3 years ago on intention. And I can show you the hard disk full of these pictures. The left one is Turkey, the top one I think is Austria, this one here is Denmark. And no, I'm not going to find exactly one of these shops. I'm going in the city center and taking an image of the... I tell you, I have exactly 2 shops in my list where I say, cool, this show window I like. And no, the mass markets are not better. The maximum number I counted when I went around in mass markets was 152 silver and black cameras in a row with 3 lines text. It is a big fun, do it yourself. Stand in a market, stand in a supermarket, in a hypermarket, stand there for half an hour and observe what the people are doing. Oh, it doesn't work. Yeah, because of the battery is not it. Okay. None of them reads the 3 lines text because it's anyhow not possible to remember anything. This is reality. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is the reality of our market. And if we deny this, if we talk about it, if we don't talk about this one, that this is reality. I heard the good wishes yesterday. We want to change our interior part. Yeah, but please start outside. And sorry, no, media guys. This one, is this fun or is this science? I don't know. So, one of the messages I want to contribute today is we should stop asking consumers to solve our problems. And if there are any R&D guys in the room, please take a note or send me an email. I will send you this presentation. One example is we had the printers. We're delivering printers with a 3:2 format. And then we are delivering pictures, or at least we did for a long time, by a 4:3 format. Hey customer, now it's your choice. Either you get the picture or the paper. We cannot solve the problem for you. Please, you solve the problem for us. And the same stuff is true for memory cards, bayonets. I mean, a bayonet is not contributing anything to the quality of a picture. Any electronic drill has a standard bayonet. Why? We are asking customers, hey, if you buy this one, now that it's over, you cannot change it. Rather than competing on picture quality, we are competing on hardware. Raw, we couldn't harmonize. No customer, we were not able to make a real, efficient nickname for a new category, such like iPad. Sounds good. We are not able to manage. One example I like to show, because this is a real actual one, and I didn't believe it. I'm doing photo books, and I like that. And I have a preferred supplier. And this preferred supplier is in lab. And I ask them, and I'm setting this up, and I ask always to deliver to my shop next to my home. Because I like picking up. I like to pay over there, actually. And then I moved my flat. And from this chain, there was no shop in the nearby. So now I wanted to make my pictures, my picture books, or my photo books, with same supplier. I'm very happy with the quality, but I wanted to get it delivered to a different store of the chain. Yeah, and then I called, because I couldn't find a way to do it, I called the service, the customer support service, and they told me, yeah, you have to deinstall our software and then install it again, and then you can use this. Guys, can you imagine a colleague from eBay would say, hey, you have to deinstall your Windows browser because you bought at Amazon. How long do you think customers will accept this? One of the problems with I can blame you nicely, because I was sitting on your chairs too, and I know all the backgrounds, patents and advantages and so on. I know this. But the question is it still in time for us to work like this? Because one of the key problems is a competitive network. An example how to make it different, I just want to show, there are many examples, I just have picked up this one, I like that very much. This is in a little village in the north of Germany. Once in a year, for 1 week, they are showing and sharing a photo show over there. The whole village is full of photography, exhibitions and courses and so on. And that's lovely to see if you go there and you see this surprised faces of tourists which are just by incident there, which didn't plan to go to a photo week. And then they are participating in, I would call it courses, although it's much more fun. And you see how these people are enjoying suddenly photography, because they don't go all this hurdle about technology, scientific approaches. And it's so much fun, it's so easy. And by the way, the cooking guys have shown us how to change this. If you're interested in the presentation, let me know. So, my point is we have to go where the consumers are. Emotion instead of technology, ease of use instead of patents, and customer binding programs. Just imagine we would be able to manage to give all that up and bring back fun to the industry and have 90% of the people who are presently only looking for compact cameras or nothing, we have them back in our customer portfolio. Last point. Let us bundle marketing power. Let us bundle marketing power. Very frankly, some of you have seen this chart already. This is Facebook. That's the activity plan of Facebook, which means the number of posts every branch is doing. This is like insurance and so on and so on. In the middle there is photo. Photo means camera manufacturers, accessories, everyone. Dealers, everyone who is on Facebook and belonging somehow to the photography area. That's fine. Activity is fine. The problem is the reaction of our customers. It's virtually nothing. Compared to other brands, we are not able to move customers to be active spokesmen for our products. They love the pictures, but they don't like the picture industry. We had in the 90s, we had a fantastic, perfect value chain. We had cameras which were standardized, so they fit to the films. We had films fitting to the cameras and to the lamps. We had accessories before the photo shooting, and we had accessories for after the picture were done. And that was something beautiful. First of all, it was easy for the people, and second, more important, there were these film guys. These film guys in the middle. They had one advantage and one disadvantage. The advantage, they made the biggest money. They made the biggest money from the whole chain, more or less. The disadvantage, they had virtually nothing to say. I mean, how do you want to, a regular, normal consumer, talk about emotion, about the chemistry of film? I mean, it makes no sense. So what they were forced to do is to make emotional marketing. The only thing they could advertise films was about emotions, and they did this from the early 50s to the late 90s. So, and one of the good things, because they had the money and they needed to do this, what they actually did was they did the marketing job for the whole photo industry. They did the marketing for the photo industry. So now, the bad news is we lost them. And by this, we lost the business model, we lost marketing power, and in a certain sense, I'm also afraid we lost knowledge in our industry how to attract consumers. One of the examples, and I like to mention this because at least you should know this, 19th of August next year, we have 175th anniversary of photography. And I personally know at least 5 good concepts which were developed over the years. 5 concepts I know, maybe there are much more. According to my knowledge, none of the concepts is going to be realized. And my question would be, in the old days, if this 175th anniversary would have happened during film times, what would the film marketing departments of Kodak, Fuji, Agfa would have done with such an occasion where the chance would have been to redefine our industry, to show them in a totally different manner. Remember what the cars did with 125 years. This was a year full of cars. But, sorry, nothing. At least maybe something is happening which I don't know. I don't say I know everything. But according to my knowledge, there's nothing in plan. So, summary, let's talk about this monster. If we don't talk, we will not change anything. If we sit here and we say, oh, this is just a slight little downsizing, market will go up again, no problem, then we will not change. The first thing is we have to realize what to talk about and then start actions. Let's readjust our strategic analysis. Don't see the smartphones as the root of our problems. It's not. It's our relation to customers, which is not right at the moment. Let us not wait the customer to come and please let us not talk about we are educating the customer. Hey, we are not in the power, we don't have the power anymore to educate customers. Customers don't want to be educated any longer. We have to go where the customer is, full stop. Otherwise the customer will tell us what we are. Let us change our product philosophy. Let's end the bullet point war. Let us create consumer-friendly ecosystems immediately. And let us focus on what those customers want. Not the ones which we still have. Market research among your clients doesn't make any sense if you lost already the customers. You have to talk those guys which are gone, not the guys which are still with you. And let us bundle the marketing power. The last point, to be honest, is, from my perspective, this is a call to action. It's a call to action to the headquarters in Korea, the headquarters in Japan, the headquarters in Europe and in America. And it's a call to action, from my point of view, to ZIPA, to Fotoindustrieverband, and to PMA. Those are the ones who should sit in the driver's seat. Those are the ones who should change. They are the ones who can legally do without running into legal problems. But we have to do something. If we don't do something, nothing will happen. The question is, you may now say, hey, he's dreaming. Dreaming. I love dreaming, I mean, especially after Anna's presentation. Am I dreaming? I show you one more chart. This is, again, ZIPA figures. but I only show it up to mid of the 90s. And you see, we had the same crisis. And we had the Kodak picture disc, we had the APS system, and nothing worked. And believe me, I was in the industry. I was in the driver's seat, and I was able to talk to my colleagues in Japan, and here in Europe, of course, as well. And yes, the people were really suffering because nothing of what they tried worked. And then there came a beast. Actually, not a beast, but it was a foreigner, it was an alien, someone from outside who forced us to act, which was the QD10 from Casio. The QD10 suddenly, I mean, what I'm telling you now is the truth. I was talking with R&D guys in those days. The QD10 forced the total industry suddenly to shift the attention all in one direction. Rather than fighting with each other, everyone was suddenly developing digital cameras. Within just 18 months, before that no one believed it's possible to sell them. And then Casio came, sold them, and suddenly everyone realized, hey, there's a market. And everyone shifted in the same direction. And what happens if everyone puts the head in the same direction, you could see from the digital camera. Within 18 months, the Photokina was full of digital products. So at that time, it was an enemy from outside, a foreigner, alien, and we as a photo industry moved. And it's not only the manufacturers of cameras, the trade moved. I mean, how quickly the trade was suddenly equipped with PCs. Never before. Suddenly it worked rather quickly. We had the first digital media. So it worked within 18 months. It's possible if we do actions all in the same direction. So, just a question would be for me left, what would happen if we would come from this type of approach for our products to an approach where it's about fun of photography? Just imagine what would be possible if customers, just imagine what customers would be willing to do if they have fun with our products. And what they are willing to do, I show you here. That is what is possible if people have fun using a product. Let us have fun. Thanks for listening and good luck.